Labour's capped transport fares, another scam. In reviewing the New Zealand Labour Party's three major policy announcements to date, a clear pattern emerges. Each of their policies appear beneficial at first glance, yet each carries underlying uncertainties and/or unresolved funding questions. Their latest third policy, capped public transport fares, stands out as the only policy with an explicitly identified funding source, though even this policy raises practical concerns about trade-offs within the transport system. Labour's first policy, offering 3 free doctors' visits, raises questions about its financial sustainability. The party has indicated that revenue from a proposed capital gains tax would support the initiative, but this assumes both the successful implementation of the tax and the expected revenue levels. Additional concerns include the availability of doctors to meet increased demand and the potential for longer wait times as more people seek appointments. The second policy, the creation of a future fund, is intended to support long-term national investment. However, Labour has declined to specify which assets would be included in the fund until after the election, citing the need to resolve potential treaty-related issues. This is nuts and raises questions about transparency and the feasibility of the fund's structure. The third policy introduces capped public transport fares, a weekly cap of $20 in major cities and $10 elsewhere, covering buses, trains and some ferries. The policy is scheduled to begin in mid-2027 if Labour forms the government. Labour estimates the annual cost at approximately $65 million and state that this amount will be drawn from the National Land Transport Fund, NLTF. While this is the only policy with a clearly identified funding source, the NLTF is already under significant pressure. It finances road maintenance, local road upgrades, public transport subsidies, safety programs, walking and cycling infrastructure, and portions of the rail network. The fund is already over-allocated, which means that any new spending will require reductions elsewhere unless new revenue is introduced, possibly from a new tax. The most probable areas to face reductions include road maintenance, despite widespread concerns about deteriorating road quality, local upgrades, such as safety improvements and resurfacing, public transport service improvements, such as increased frequency, new routes or fleet upgrades, will be constrained, creating a tension between lowering fares and improving service quality. Walking and cycling projects are politically easier to delay and may also be affected. Cap fares are just another scam. Labour Party policy summary. Labour's capped public transport policy is financially clearer than its other policy announcements, but it still relies on reallocating funds with an already stretched transport budget. Without new revenue sources or explicit offsetting cuts, the policy will require reductions in other transport programmes and/or an increase in taxes. The broader pattern across Labour's announcements is one of appealing headline policies accompanied by unresolved questions about implementation, funding and long-term sustainability. One-liner. All of Hipkins Labour Party policy announcements to date are nothing more than voter clickbait waffle, all of which will almost certainly require funding via additional taxes if they are to be achieved. Credibility issues. Hipkins has serious past and present credibility issues. He has lied and deceived for years. He has failed to front up for public inquiries. He has degraded women, allegedly deeply involved in fraudulent behaviour, prefers DEI to necessary merit skills, and he is desperately trying to become the Prime Minister of New Zealand again for a few more months so he qualifies for a lifetime of taxpayer-funded, tax-free benefits for himself and his new wife. You know, apples with apples, horses for courses. He is by far the most disgraceful, dishonest MP in New Zealand's history. Why on earth would any decent person vote for Hipkins Labour Party? Plus you get the Greens and Pāti Māori throw in for good measure. Seriously? If you hate people, hate your parents, hate your siblings, hate your children, hate your friends, but love Māorification and racism, then vote Labour. Thank you for listening. WhangāreiTim.